Anime has recently been going through a bit of a definition change. With series like Spirit Pact, Blood of Oars, and Thunderbolt Fantasy having taken a hold in the anime community, even though they are made in China and Taiwan. And this is why I am redefining anime. As you should all know,
Anime's Japanese colloquialism.
that is virtually synonymous with animation of any kind in Japan. But that isn't how I see anime. Much rather, my definition strays away from any prior idea, and it would change the way that sites like MAL define anime. Whilst MAL concerns the primary role of Japanese production companies or distribution companies to be what defines anime, which is what causes series like Batman Gotham Knight to be there, but this wouldn't be what people who typically like anime would be watching, as it has a much more Western-centric focus. So let's get into the definition. Anime is a set of cinematic and design philosophies typical of Japanese animated cinema that can occur in other places, but is much less likely. Some of the philosophies would include the use of triangular and circular character designs, this in opposition to the way that Western character designs are typically more squared off. This would cause the inclusion of series like Avatar: The Last Airbender on the design level, but when we apply cinematic traits, we see that these don't fit into the same cinematic style, and it's easily visible from the OP of the series. Whilst the introduction to the first episode of the Tatami Galaxy uses some similar techniques, the general use of cuts and camera placement is entirely different. And this is what would be seen as the process of breaking down all the elements of cinema of anime would showcase. There are some things that are currently considered anime, which would no longer be considered anime under this new definition, and there are things that are currently not, which would be. The reason that I think defining anime as a cinematic style is much better than as a segment of industry or the location in which animation is produced is that it allows for more clear perception of what people say when they say, "I like anime." Now, of course, this doesn't include writing or specific animation techniques, but those can also be seen at times in Western animation, which is why I want to keep the definition of anime to be a cinematic one. So, what about live-action films that take a lot of cinematic principles from anime? Like the 2004 film Cutie Honey. And when we consider how anime and tokusatsu are linked in a very similar way, does that make tokusatsu anime? Well, I personally haven't watched enough tokusatsu series to give a definitive answer, but under this definition it would be entirely possible. Unless, of course, we wanted to restrict it to specifically animated series. Which to some of my viewers would make me look like a filthy heathen, which I am. I do genuinely think that this definition is much more useful than simply saying that it is animation produced in Japan or animation that is primarily distributed by Japanese companies. But what do I even know? I'm just an art school student who occasionally likes or dislikes things. Speaking of liking and disliking things, you know what to do with this video. Leave a comment because I read all of them and I try and respond as much as possible. Also, at 2,500 subs, I'm gonna be doing a yaoi ASMR senpai. Daisuki desu. So hit that good old red button. Oh, and give me money. Wait, I haven't had screaming drunk asshole Joji out of this video. I'll lose all my appeal without a bit of shock humor.
Give me that Patreon money so I can buy all the Hot Wheels acceleracers, you normies.